boat can leave now.
Welcome to the first full-fledged episode of the Hellywood Slab, hosted by Dr. Morgus Rotten, and today my co-host...
Mortis.
Yeah, so we're going to actually be doing a review today of 1979's Zombie, also known as Zombie 2, also known as, Island of the Dead, also known as Zombie Flesh Eaters. This thing's been covered by everything. It's Lucio Fulci'S seminal classic. The guy did a lot of horror films. Obviously, Zombie is kind of held up as his best one, the unofficial sequel to George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, also known as Zombie, over in Italy. So this was Zombie 2. Huge lawsuit between Romero and the Italian courts that Romero lost because you can't copyright the word zombie. But before we go on, we want to give a rest in peace to Tisa Farrow, which was our initial inspiration to do Zombie as our first project on this video. But within that time, we also found out that, David MG died, which I think should be brought up as Flyboy, obviously, from Dawn of the Dead, because Dawn of the Dead was definitely an inspiration for this film to be made. It's really funny because we all know Zombie actually started off as kind of like Italy's ripoff of Dawn of the Dead, and Lucio Fulci and Dardano Sacchetti were able to write a script that brought it into its own. It made it its own movie. So it's really, I think the only thing it really has in common with Dawn of the Dead is zombies.
Yeah, and like, okay, in this one, the zombies were more ferocious.
They were nasty.
They were hungry.
Cake faces.
Wow. But they were traditional zombies.
Yes, it's really hard for me to go here because, I mean, if you've been following my Facebook page, Dr. Morgus Rotten's horror movie reviews,
look it up.
Yeah, for the last few years or whatnot when I started this thing, the first film I reviewed was Dawn of the Dead. A huge George Romero fan, and Zombie, here's where you're going to get something you might find controversial here. As much as I like Tom Savini, I like the special effects for Zombie better. I'm sorry.
They were pretty... They held me in the film.
Yeah,
they really held me in there.
There's some really gnarly special effects going on here.
This is what, like 70s, 80s?
1979 is when Zombie came out.
You didn't see a lot of special effects to that caliber.
No.
Especially in a movie that, didn't have 100% full reign of whatever they wanted to do. They had a way to make the special effects, and they didn't have a lot of extra to do it.
Yeah, well, the thing with Zombie also, I mean, really was accompanied with a warning. If you were under 17, you had to be accompanied by an adult. There was no, oh, hey, we'll let him into the theater. No, you could actually get in trouble letting kids in to see Zombie because there was nudity going on, and the gore in the film was gnarly.
Even for that time.
Just vicious. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, again, Dawn of the Dead definitely had some stuff.
Yeah.
But Zombie, man, had some stuff that was just like, oh my God, I can't believe they just did that.
And this guy.
Yeah. So, please share the video, subscribe if you haven't. This is a new experience for us. We're trying something new. I know there's a lot of stuff out there for horror and whatnot. I'm going to give the guys over at Movie Dumpster a little shout out here because I love your guys' videos, especially your talks from the dark side. I got to give you credit. It's awesome stuff. Keep it up. But I know there's a lot of choices out there, and I know you're probably looking at me going, who is this bum? But the point being is I'm a fan, and I hope that you're fans too. I want to read what you got in the responses down on the bottom and stuff. And let's just talk movies and have fun. First of all, we're going to look at this guy right here. This is the Zombie box set. It's a comic book recreation of the film, obviously, from Iabon Press and Vinegar Syndrome. This is not a sponsored video. I was not sent this for free. I've paid for this out of my own pocket. Trust me, it wasn't cheap. But
how cheap was it not?
$70, man. But it's actually a really cool set. You got this awesome recreation of the artwork from the video release. I mean, look at this box, man. I mean, this is like a gorehound's dream Don't show the back of that because we don't want our video demonetized. But it's really good stuff. $70. There's supposed to be a second print coming for it, or the second print run. I think it's well worth it. You get the comics, the entire original series. We're not going to go through every issue, but you've got these really nice little sleeves that the comics come in. They got original artwork from the comic.
We can't show that.
Yeah, we can't show everything, but, you get the comic book, which is really awesome. These really cool, nice artwork. But it comes with fun stuff like collector's cards, and there's like little, art pieces that come with it, limited edition. Got your other little catalog that's really kind of nice, little stuff that also is coming from Ebon later. Bookmarks, other collector's cards. I mean, you can't beat this stuff. I mean, I know some people might say, $70 might seem a little steep, but for something like this is kind of cool. And yes, guys, guess what? I did open it. I'm not one of these guys who just gets something on a shelf and doesn't do anything with it. So the collection you're seeing over here with DVDs and stuff you're going to see in future videos, I do watch what I buy, and you should too. But anyway, definitely worth checking out. Like I said, there's supposed to be a second run. I hope that they actually run issues 5 through 8, because that's actually supposed to be the continuation of Zombie. A lot of people don't know. There was actually a story written, and the big reason why they never shot a Zombie sequel is because Tisa Farrow decided she didn't want to do movies anymore in, I believe it was 1980, and decided to become a nurse and leave behind that part of her life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it actually kind of sucks because Zombie and Anthrophagus were freaking amazing. Grim Reaper, as it's known in the U.S.
Huh.
But really good stuff. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, if you want to support a really good project, and on top of that, they also did a graphic novelization of Maniac that they also released, which is really, really cool stuff. Anyway, so we get into the actual movie, Lucio Fulci. I mean, what do we say about the master, right? The godfather of gore, as he was known.
I saw it once when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and have not seen it again until you told me we were going to review it. So I watched it, and
Excuse me.
it's brilliant. For the time, it's utterly brilliant. The story, the way it was written, how it happened, still leaves you in awe of going, wait a minute, what happened to the, how and her father and everything like that. You lose track of that. You totally forget at the end, we never really figured everything out.
I think it was an iconic film, and the fact that with zombies, we're obviously back in fashion again. I mean, obviously, you can't bring up a film like Zombie without bringing up something like Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead, obviously, is the film that really brought it back. That's comic book, commando, in-your-face craziness that was going on. The satirical look at our consumerism, and George Romero's just off-the-wall kind of comedy stuff that he had going on there was really awesome. But Zombie does not have that.
No, it doesn't have the comedy. And their zombies are traditional zombies, too. They're actual, Haitian voodoo zombies that go on a rampage, where it's not just the dead coming back. It's a bunch of other things.
That's where things, I think, what makes Zombie kind of its own thing. It's a film that has its own legs. It stands on its own. It has a power all its own. And that's a great thing. I hope that, honestly, zombies right now have kind of lost their legs because everybody's making zombie romances and everything's a comedy and hard. Don't get me wrong. There are exceptions to that rule, like Fido. I was about to say Fido was amazing. I mean, it was
beautiful.
Shaun of the Dead, great film.
Great. Zombies. Have you seen that?
No, I've not seen all zombies.
It's a movie from a zombie's point of view.
I have to check that out. Zombieland was fun too, but a lot of the stuff outside of that, it's just.
But Zombieland, a traditional zombie film.
Right. Bill Murray.
Well, yeah, Bill. Murray.
Yeah, strangely looked like Eddie Van Halen. It was weird. You guys talk about Eddie. It's like, okay. But anyway, okay, so we get back to 79 Zombie. Just the way they started the damn film. Some guy pulls a gun up, points it at the screen. The zombie sits up and boom, blows the freaking hole in it, and it falls over. The boat can leave now. Tell the crew. And that's where it starts, and we jump right into Fabio Frizzi's amazing soundtrack for this film.
Oh, the soundtrack was beautiful, man. Yeah. You just get entranced into it.
There's a lot of transitions going into this film. I mean, it's got some electronic, voodoo going on, and he really, really wanted this film to sound different. It doesn't sound like Goblin's soundtrack at all from Dawn of the Dead, which was really nice. You got everything from reggae sounds and island sounds, and just that very creepy kind of beat that it has with the main theme. Zombie's main theme is unmistakable, and it really, really sets the tone. Jumping straight into an abandoned boat, floating in the New York harbor. The helicopter, they're all making fun of the boat and stuff, and all hell breaks loose pretty quick in this film.
The main zombie, you never forget this guy.
Right through the door.
He's still in your mind. To the end of the film, I'm still thinking, wait a minute, where did he go? Yeah. Well, he just went in the water.
Well, we find out.
Yes, we do.
Oh, what's great, I mean, you got the one cop. Yeah, they get on the boat. Oh, the boat's abandoned. The guy drops the sail on him because the winch is broken. And then when he's all yelling at him and stuff and goes up there, and I tell you, by the end of the scene, he's happy he's the one that went up. Because that zombie that busts through the door is just this ugly, fat, bloated, just
dead for a
blood
while.
everywhere. Because the guy, it's disgusting down there. There's maggots all over the place. There's worms all over the place. Flips out a paper. The hand falls down. And that's when the zombie just busts through the door. He jumps, jumps on the guy and literally rips his throat out. And that's one of the first effects that I remember seeing. It just like the blood, and it just literally spurting like it's like it's a heartbeat. You're just like, oh, dude, that's nasty. And of course, the zombie, the guy upstairs, what the hell was that kind of thing? And the zombie comes upstairs, and I swear, it tells him not to move like 3 or 4 times before he finally shoots him.
I would have shot him after the first time.
Right, because there's obviously something wrong with this guy, right?
Yeah, he just ate your partner.
Well, he doesn't know that yet. He hasn't seen what's... He's got blood everywhere. I heard the guy scream, boom, puts him overboard, falls into the water. And it just carries on from there, We get introduced to Peter West.
Yeah.
Ian McCullough, God bless him. Side note here, it's really funny that Ian McCullough had never actually watched the full cut of Zombie after the movie was made until years later. No, he went to a fan fest in the 90s and finally got to see the whole cut of Zombie and was horrified by the film. He had no idea the film was as violent as it was.
Oh, wow.
So he did this interview and he's talking about how absolutely shocked he was at the violence in the movie. It's just kind of like, how is it that this movie's been out for 20 years or whatnot.
Right.
You're a main character in the film, and you've never seen the whole movie. I mean,
maybe he didn't read the whole script.
Well, it's just funny because he was also in Dr. Butcher, MD, which, again, is another...
That's a brutal fucking film.
that's a brutal movie. So it's like, Ian McCullough's in both of those films, and it's like, dude, you were in 2 of the bloodiest Italian horror films of the era, and... I can only imagine what he would have said if he saw Dr. Butcher, MD, but here's a little piece of trivia. Of course, the editor of the newspaper who sends him out on the job, that's Lucio Fulci.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that's Fulci actually playing that role. It's like, it's great. And then we sends him out, cop dead on a boat, poke around a little, see what you can find out. Don't let the British get to you. Don't let it get to you that your dad bought the paper. As if I would, great lines,
right.
I mean, kind of seems kind of realistic. And then we get introduced to Ann Bowles, of course, played by the late, great Tisa Farrow. It's her dad's boat. He's missing. The cops are questioning her.
The cops are idiots.
Those cops are morons, man. And the worst line in the whole movie is spoke by one of them, too. I just want to know where my dad is. That's what we want to know, too. Mrs. Bowles. It's like, oh man. I don't know if that's actually how the actor actually said that, or if that was
it was.
Was that just like a voice actor? Because the film shot both English and Italian.
I think his was a dub.
Yeah, because
still,
that one line and the whole thing is just like, dude, this is terrible.
He's arrogant.
It's like he's just bad. And of course we flash to the cop that died on the boat. They're going to do an autopsy on him. And of course, the two coroners, as me being a coroner would know this, how unprofessional. They're both fighting over how dull the blade is on the scalpel.
Well, one's a
But which one's the cock?
question.
I don't know, dude. I can't.
It's just
It was like as terrible as this is, but the jive talking turkey black guy, which is like totally stereotypical for the time. It was like, they went a little overboard with that. And of course, the uptight, tightwad white guy. And it's just kind of like, I always kind of didn't like that scene, to be honest.
That stereotypical thing.
Yeah, they went totally stereotypical on that one scene. But then, of course, the zombies sitting up. And that's what's cool about this, okay? One scene that was actually supposed to be shot for the film was when the zombie actually attacks them. Okay, but you never see it. It was never filmed for the film because they thought that the film would be too gory. But you do see it in the comic book. It's been animated, and it's pretty nasty.
Get the comic.
Yeah, get the comic. The comic is definitely worth it. But very well done. They cut away, obviously, and then we got Anne going to her father's boat, playing. The cop is listening. I don't know. Anybody watching, please, somebody tell me what the song is the cop is listening to. I know it's a disco song, and I'm not a big disco fan, but that song has always eluded me. I don't know what it's called. I don't know who it's by. I want to know what it is, just because it's driving me crazy.
Don't worry. If I find it by the time this edits out, you'll hear it in the background just ticking with them.
But, obviously she gets on the boat. There's a cop guarding, but I think he was smoking and not paying attention.
And she sneaks by him.
Yeah, she sneaks by him and gets in there. And, of course, Peter's already on the boat. He grabs her, whatever you do, don't scream. Now, I'm going to let my hand off of you and you're not going to scream, right? So, of course, it turns out, she's mad at him for being on the boat. What are you doing here? The same thing, you looking for information. And he's got a letter, that Dad wrote to her. And, of course, they knock something over.
The cop comes
on. And it's great because Peter's got this brilliant plan where they're making out. And, oh, no, not another boxcar. It's like,
she went right along with it.
Yeah, she went right along with it. It was just
the first time she's done this, I bet.
Yeah, maybe not.
No. But we'll never find out.
Unfortunately.
And we're not talking about Tisa, we're talking about the character.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's funny because I actually did get to talk to Tisa Farrow a couple times on Twitter. And it was funny. She did not want to talk about her career at all.
Wow.
If you tried to ask her a question, she would just ignore it. If you tried to talk to her about real life things, though, you would get a response,
I don't know. But sometimes you get tired of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, Mia Farrow is her sister.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, it kind of sucks. But, all this is going on. Obviously, we hear about the island Matul.
Yep, so they got to find a boat.
Yeah, well, wait. Before that, though, because they're talking about Matul and her dad being there, and then we get introduced to Dr. Menard and his wife, and oh my God.
What a couple.
She does not want to be on that island anymore.
No, she's very adamant that something bad and evil is going on, and it's time to go.
Oh, yeah, because they're talking about the zombies. The zombies are already walking around.
She's onto it. And he's all like, don't you understand the medical sciences and everything?
Yeah.
And she's like, you're a psycho. But yet, what does she do? She stays.
The radio doesn't work. It's broken. I wouldn't be surprised if you broke it yourself. And she's like mad. And she starts going nuts, and he just, like, I swear, sucker punches her. Bam! It's like he's not playing around,
He's had enough.
My research, your research, you still think of yourself as a doctor. I think you're crazy, and I'm going to tell everybody. And I mean, she goes off. And I mean, the pimp hand, man, straight up, bam! I mean, just hits her. and goes back to the hospital.
Instant
I mean,
replay.
yeah. I mean, she's just mad, and that's where he Peter West and Ann Bowles end up getting tickets provided by the editor of the newspaper to go to the Caribbean islands, so they can find Matul, which of course is not on any maps. It's not
you just gotta
charted.
find it. It's
you just
somewhere
gotta
over
find
that
it.
way.
It's somewhere out there.
Everyone knows where it's at. It's that way.
Yeah. Other than of course the natives around there like don't go to Matul. That place is evil. It's cursed. It's like don't go there. And of course,
how many harbinging ways can you be told by 1, 2, 3, 4 harbingers in your film not to go?
Well, that's where we run into Brian and Susan, who are about to take a tour of the islands on vacation. And, hey, can you help us find Matul? And they're just, yeah, okay.
Sure.
If you pay for your stuff, yeah, we're going on vacation anyway, but are you sure you want to go to Matul?
Right.
It's just like, well, we got to find, Anne's dad, and it's just like, find out what really happened to him. And it's crazy.
And the swingers were on board.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I wouldn't have went. No, you guys can have
But they went.
Why? They went, And,
Both.
we got a renegade getting naked in the water, and she gets attacked by a zombie.
Yes.
Under the water. Dude, the special effects for this scene were outstanding. The makeup.
Under the water.
It was pretty crazy, and along comes a shark, of course. But
not an animatronic shark.
No. This is a real shark. I mean, this was crazy. I mean, this scene is great. Okay, because at the time, Fulci actually didn't want to film this scene, but it got filmed. He thought it was hokey. It kind of likens to Zombie 3 with the flying head, the zombie head flying through the air that you're kind of going, that's awesome as hell, but why? It's just kind of hokey. But it was crazy because you've got a zombie and a shark fighting, and it actually looks very convincing. It's actually a pretty awesome special effect.
The Wrangler was amazing.
Yeah, well, what was funny is the
actor?
stuntman didn't want to do the shot. He was afraid to get in the water, so they actually did up the shark trainer in zombie makeup and had him do it. And it's a pretty effective shot. The lovely additions of like string sounds and kind of psychedelic sounds during the regular main zombie theme actually kind of adds to the scene. It's kind of like almost feels like you're under the water with them, as fun as it is.
It was the best scene in there because when you see this scene, you're already in the flow of a mystery. And this is just like a shock to the minute you see it, you're like, wait a minute. And then you're thinking, that's a real shark. Zombies in the makeup, they're really going, oh my God.
Yeah, the zombie's arm gets ripped off like the shark's like, what's up? All right, so this is where things are getting really crazy on the island by this point,
Yeah.
There's zombies walking all over the place. Dr. Menard's friend, whom he left, to protect the house, has been attacked by a zombie. Of course, is at the hospital. His Lucas, who's his right-hand man, comes to wake him up because he's drunk and falling asleep on the beach. And to get him to the hospital, let him know that his friend's been attacked.
And why would you be drunk on the beach if you know these things are walking around?
Because I don't think he cared anymore. He had to slap the hell out of his wife. The pimp hand does it every time, right? Yeah. Oh, I mean, we don't condone this, by the way. But, it's what happened in the film.
Yeah.
But so while this is going on, there's been a problem also with our heroes on their boat. The shark
thing, and then it broke
it hit the boat, and it broke the crankshaft. Yeah. So they're having to sail everywhere, and they're trying to find a place, to get the boat fixed. And of course, there's Matul. They're firing flares up into the air.
Again, harbingering here.
Mm-hmm.
You've been out to sea for endless hours. Your ship breaks down. And then at the last bleaking second, you see an island off to the distance. Would you still go?
I would probably do what they did to try to see if we could find parts. I mean, they weren't even sure if it was Matul.
Yeah.
But,
Let's go to the island.
Of course, we got West going, who knows? That could be Matul. And perhaps it is.
And unfortunately, it was.
Yes. So they want to get to a repair shop, so they're firing flares. And, of course, we got Dr. Menard, who's trying to check on his friend, who, of course, has been bit and tells him, there's zombies here. He goes, zombies in the village? Yes. What village? Wait, this village? Yeah, right now. And then, of course, Lucas comes in and tells him that the devil's out there. He goes, what do you mean the devil's out there? The devil's firing fire up in Catfish Bay. Which, of course, is, Hull and all them firing the flares off, trying to get someone's attention so they can come on land, right? So next thing, of course, the doctor goes out there, picks him up in his Jeep, and hey, is telling, Anne what happened with her father. Her father wanted to stay behind because he was infected by whatever it is that's making the dead get up and walk. And, of course, they're all talking about, voodoo's, Catholicism and
Hocus pocus.
Hocus, and, it's all, fake, ancient burial rites and stuff. And the doctor finally admits, well, whatever it is, it makes the dead get up and walk, I mean, so, of course, they're still not convinced.
No.
But he's trying to tell Anne,
give her a little warning.
Her father's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to shoot him, which we find out from the opening. The gunshot was him killing, Anne's father. And it sucked because, I mean, Tisa, again, I really think she really carried this film a lot. Her acting ability was very good. Ian McCullough was really good, too. I mean, as West.
But I do have a question, though.
What?
Okay, so you just met these people.
Right.
You know the father. You murdered her dad upon murdering
but it wasn't
other people.
murder.
Well, it's a selfless thing.
But he's already dead.
But yes, but my question is, you give them your car to go check on your wife.
Well, because, remember, you just found out there's zombies in the village, though. And we missed a part, though, because after his friend gets attacked, the zombies get into the house after Mrs. Menard in one of the most shocking scenes in the film. I mean, she's taking a shower, and talk about creeper. I mean, these zombies are like peeping Toms. They're watching her. The hand on the glass and everything is, and you're just like creeping out. And that's when she notices she's walking through the house, and she takes a sedative, and then you hear it. It's like, she's like, oh, she knows it's in the house with her,
Well, not one. Not
oh, yeah,
two,
exactly. She runs to her room, and, it's funny. Where's she going to go?
They always run to the room.
Where's she going to go? She tries to do the thing and barricade the door. Now, this is where things are a little bit more complex than Night of the Living Dead was.
Yeah, because
these zombies...
Night of the Living Dead would have been held off.
Yeah.
These ones, unfortunately.
No, these guys, they bust that door down.
Yeah.
I mean, and on top of that, you can tell she's trying, but she did a really good job of conveying that the sedatives were kicking in.
Yeah.
Because during this fight with these zombies, she is slowly you can look at her,
tired.
She's getting tired and she's getting worn down.
Oh, I mean, our favorite scene.
Yeah, moves that piece of furniture in. That zombie busts through and grabs her by the hair and just starts pulling her. And she's trying so hard, but there's this sliver, man, and it's sticking out of the door, and you're like, no, they're not going to do this. And that impalation. Oh, man.
That's the ICU shiver with anticipation moment.
Dude. That scene is, I mean, it was, I mean, if you see the movie enough times, you can tell how they did it. But
every time you see it, it still grosses you out.
Yeah, the first couple times that you see it, man, it's just like, oh my God. I remember having it on video. Hey, the big box right here. Wizard Video. And I actually rewound that scene 4, 5, 6 times just trying to figure out how did they do this. Because, man, it was hard to tell on grainy VHS. Actually, honestly, transferring it up to DVD, and which is now transferred up to Blu-ray, it really stops hiding the grit of the scene, and you can tell better. But back when I first saw Zombie it was on VHS, and it was very, just grainy like VHS was, and it hid.
It hid all that.
Hid all that, and it really made that scene really where you're just, every time you'd see it, and so Mrs. Maynard is not with us anymore, and so of course they go to the house and they're discussing how, oh, this is stupid. There's no zombies, whatever. And of course, they go into the house looking for Mrs. Maynard, and that's when they come to the gut munch scene, which again is the second, stomach churner in this. I mean, Maynard's, she's dead, and there's zombies eating away. They're pulling parts off of her, and they're just grossed out.
I want to tear you apart.
Yeah. So this is when they try to escape, and there's zombies. And here's where this is the one thing about those movies I didn't like. This is where the women just do that. Oh, something scary! I can't move. Ah, really? And of course the men. Here, let me grab something and kill these zombies with it. And it I guess it's just because of when the films were made or whatnot.
Plus Italian.
The Italian films.
You saw a lot of the
machismo, chauvinism. Yeah, a lot of macho. This and that. It definitely wasn't. God, I can't remember her name from Dawn of the Dead. It definitely wasn't her.
No.
Yeah, she was a very strong character.
Yeah.
The Ripley of the group, if you will.
But even the strongest died in this movie.
But this is getting crazy. So I mean, they fight their way out of the house and get into the Jeep, and they're driving back, and basically, dude, let's get back, get the doctor, and get the hell off. Get the hell off the island.
It's always that easy, right?
Of course, it's like a typical thing. There's a zombie crossing the street, and instead of running the bastard over, he loses control of the Jeep, and bam, crashes the Jeep. It's like, right? But there's where our little plot thing goes in Ian McCullough's character, Peter West, breaks his ankle. But they worked it out. It worked. Great. It worked. It was a good plot. A good plot. Piece to slow them down.
Yeah,
it really added
because
tension.
they wouldn't have gotten there in time for the night scene. It was still been the day.
Yeah,
and it would have been beautiful.
Let's get to the hospital before dark, and of course they have to stop because Peter's tired, and of course they stop in a graveyard. Yeah. And so that's where this ugly sucker pops up. By the way. The Knights of the Templar, or was it the Spanish Conquistadors?
Yes,
is what they did. He finds the helmet, and the zombies start getting up, and you're just
conquistadors.
And her hair gets grabbed by the zombie, and unfortunately, this is where Susan gets killed.
Yeah,
because the zombie just rips her throat out, and she's doing the whole and it's just gurgling out, and. It kind of changed the Brian character. I think Brian Hull becomes more of like, okay, this is a desperate, we need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, hey, I can't leave her like this. She's dead. There's nothing we can do. We got to go. And as they're leaving, more of these suckers are coming out of the ground,
Yeah, and it's becoming a thriller video at this point.
Yeah, and the thing that's funny is usually, honestly, I don't like it when they do zombies coming out of the ground.
But this was
done really well because these zombies look more mummified and like they weren't buried very deep. And if you know anything about like how the Caribbean is and whatnot, I mean, they do find mummies.
Yeah.
So there was actually obviously some research done to make this work the way that it did. And that was a big truck going by. That was actually kind of crazy. Good Lord, shook everything. The zombies are coming. But no, this is where things start getting crazy. Here we're coming up on the climax of the film.
That shot when they first get to the hospital.
Yeah, when they find the hospital.
That set was beautiful.
Yeah. They're banging on the walls trying to get in. Get in the door. And Menard's like, what's going on? Hey,
there's zombies.
The zombies are coming. They're on their way, and they look out, and they're creeping up. This is the Night of the Living Dead moment, by the way. They're trying to fortify this church, and they're trying to keep the zombies out. They also do know, because unlike most zombie films, it's already been established, shoot them in the head. Most movies you have to figure that out, but you saw that right at the beginning.
Yeah.
With Menard, when he shoots right in the head, you shoot him in the head. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm going to shoot him. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that didn't. Okay, boom. No, they know to shoot him in the head. And of course, we also find out that Peter West is a terrible shot. But they're trying to get this, together. And of course, Menard's all, hey, what about my wife? And they just look at him, and it's like,
oh yeah,
okay, yeah, we know she's dead. She's not coming. There's no Thanksgiving dinner this year. Christmas is canceled, right?
Everything was canceled.
But yeah, so the zombies now here's where things are getting crazy. They're staving off the zombies. But the problem is, in the hospital are all these patients that are now
dead.
turning into zombies. So now they got the zombies already in the hospital. That's where
the morgue.
Yeah. The nurse dies, of course, after Lucas has been bit.
Yes.
This I didn't like either. He instantaneously turns into a zombie.
When everyone took a little bit longer.
After
speed up.
After they didn't get to kill Maynard's friend because he's the one who bites Lucas.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the nurse gets up against the wall and just starts screaming instead of getting the hell out of the room. And, of course,
push them away.
Yeah.
I think she was just terrified. Petrified.
Right. So Brian, of course, kills that zombie. Right. So they're making Molotov cocktails.
That's right.
And here, bring them. And as she goes to grab one, Lucas gets her. She's gone. So as they're throwing the Molotov cocktails. Out comes Lucas. Lucas gets the axe from that point on. And, they're killing the zombies. The front end of the makeshift hospital, which was a church, catches on fire. We unfortunately see Dr. Menard's face get ripped off by one of the zombies. I mean, this whole thing was just, escalates very quickly.
Yeah, that's where all the budget went.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah,
all the budget
went. The special effects in that.
Yeah.
The shark scene, too. Killer special effects.
Yes.
But... So this is where everything goes. So they're getting out. Now the three of them are trying to escape, and they run into Susan, who is now a zombie. And, of course, Brian, being the typical doofus that you see in these zombie movies, he gets bit. Right in the arm. It's West, shoot her! It's like,
I'm
bam.
sorry. My girl became a zombie. I'm on an island full of zombies.
Right. It's time.
No matter what your fetishes are, guys, put a bullet in
Yeah, she's not Susan anymore.
No.
So, of course, the next thing you know, they're on the boat. And Brian is dying. You can tell he's very fast. So, of course, Peter gets the idea, hey, we got to bring him back with us because nobody's going to believe us if we don't bring him back. What are we going to tell people? So locks him in the hold. Of the boat, and then they turn the radio on,
where
we find out that the zombies are taking over New York City, and the most iconic scene, other than the sharks, of the film takes place where the zombies are walking across the George Washington State Bridge out of Manhattan into the rest of the mainland.
Yeah.
And the radio guy, the DJ, is getting attacked by the zombies
he gets attacked on air.
On air, and that's how the film ends. For 1979, that film, I'm sorry, was amazing.
Well, again, forgive me, I'm really trying here, okay? Giannetto de Rossi. As close as I'm going to get to it. I'm sorry. Amazing. Phenomenal work. God.
His special effects were fantastic in this film.
I have ADHD, and it really kills me to watch certain films sometimes because the film quality is horrible with this. But as soon as the special effects kicked in, I couldn't look away as much as I wanted to look away.
As you know, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of gore. I'm not going to say I hate gore. I'm not going to go see a movie just because it's gory. A film has to have a reason for that gore to happen. And here's the thing. I have seen zombie films that are just overly ridiculous. I mean, some of the gore, you're just kind of going, why? Why did we need to do that? This is too much.
And it made no sense.
Yeah. Romero usually kind of hit it right on the head. And I know that
oh, God, yeah.
Lucio is considered the godfather of gore because he comes up with the ideas for all of his special effects shots. He just has special effects artists do it, and they do it right. The gags that they pulled in Zombie are just, man, dude. Yeah, those. I mean, yeah, it was just gnarly. You hurt when someone gets bit in Zombie. It's like, damn. I mean, it's worse than Dawn of the Dead when the lady gets her shoulder bit off by the zombie that comes out of the room when they bust the room open in the apartment building. It's worse than that. They did a chunk out of the guy's arm, and you see all the muscles and everything. Bone, and it's crazy. And I'm serious, man. The door splinter is still to this day. The whole, she's screaming, and that splinter's coming, and you're seeing it come at the camera, and it's just like, oh.
They emphasize that scene a lot in the remakes and homage films to Zombie.
Speaking of, there have been a lot of sequels to Zombie.
Yes, there's a lot.
Varying degrees of good and bad. Zombie 3, man, is the one that I just... Knowing Fulci was involved in Zombie 3 and seeing the film, I mean, I want to love it. There's stuff I love about that film, but there is a lot there that I'm just like... I've met people that think Zombie 3 is a better film than Zombie 2, and I'm just like... Why? I mean, the flying head zombie. Okay, everybody talks about the flying head zombie, but what about the rest of the film? It's not a great movie. Most of the other zombie films they're not great movies. They're not.
It's missing the vision.
Yeah, Fulci's Zombie should have set a standard, and I really wish we would have gotten, because
it deserved better.
It's theorized. Well, you can't get an actual answer because it's been theorized that they actually had an idea and that notes for that idea is what was used. I don't know. You'd have to ask for the guys from Ivon Press, but were used for issues 5 to 8 of the Zombie comic, which I'm hoping they do reprint as a graphic novel like they did with this. I would buy it. I know a lot of other people would buy it. Because I always wanted to know what happened to Peter and Ann. I mean...
Did they make it?
Did they make it? And obviously, they're going to end up in a place where zombies have possibly taken over.
Because you don't get those answers in the second one.
You don't get those answers. It's kind of like, that's one of the things I've always truthfully not liked about the Romero films. Some of those, I really wanted to see what happened to some of those characters. I would love to have seen what happened, although we may be finding out soon with Night of the Living Dead Part 2. Because we might find out what happened to the characters from Day of the Dead, which is awesome. But back to Zombie, this film, I think, is criminally torn apart by critics and has been for years. I'm glad that it's become a cult status film now because people watch it and they realize, okay, this really wasn't a Romero ripoff. Because it's not.
No.
It's its own film. A lot of times when you use voodoo and stuff and the Haitian stuff outside of The Serpent and the Rainbow, another film a lot of people haven't seen, they get very hokey and just silly. This was not hokey and silly.
That's why Serpent took just from here.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Zombie. It's not a hokey film. It's not a funny film. It's a pretty serious, deadpan film. Hey, zombies, this is what's happening.
And the fact that it was traditional Haitian voodoo zombies that started all that got it for me. Because I always hate that when you just jump into the lore and they're like, well, the zombies are here. How did the zombies get here? Okay, what type of zombies we have?
They didn't really explain it, and that's one thing I think they did take from George, that George never really explained where zombies came from either.
But see, we can understand as regular people, voodoo zombies.
Yeah.
We understand that.
But that was also started in Dawn of the Dead, too, because with is it Peter? He's all, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what this was, the hell spitting the dead back out.
It was great.
It was a very powerful and to the point, it's straight to you for your jugular. No pun no pun intended. I mean, Zombie is a great film. I mean,
so how much did it make?
Was it 1.9 million, 1.6 million?
Yeah.
1.9 million, something like that. Yeah, but see, that's the magic of Zombie. outside of the fact that a lot of people at the time were looking at it as a Dawn of the Dead ripoff because of the lawsuit that happened between the production company that did Dawn of the Dead and the Italian filmmakers. Some people actually didn't go see the movie because, plus on top of that, the whole tag, under 17, you can't get in without an adult. I mean, it was a very gory
like half
film.
your profits right there.
You go back to 79, this may have even opened the door for films like Maniac.
Yeah.
Driller Killer was another one that came right before this. It was just nuts.
Wow.
I mean, how gory can we get? But the thing is, unlike some of those movies, zombies gore was like really kind of necessary for what they were doing. However, where the film flourished, obviously, midnight showings, and of course, home media. Zombie has been released so many times on VHS, DVD, beta, Laserdisc, Blu-ray. They just released a 4K of it. I mean, Zombie is kind of a mainstay now. Not as prolific as probably Night of the Living Dead, because Night of the Living Dead is public domain, where Zombie's not.
I like Zombie better than Night of the Living Dead, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I love Night of the Living Dead because without Night of the Living Dead, we wouldn't have Zombie.
I got that.
But,
however, as far as a film in its entirety, the way it was done, the special effects, the way to keep the story moving, I like Zombie in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I have total respect for Romero in the first one, but I didn't become a good fan of his until later on.
Mm. The zombies thing that I think keeps me always entertained with the film. I love the pacing. I've actually read reviews where they talk about how terrible the pacing is in Zombie. I'm like, did you see the same movie I did?
Yeah, because the minute it starts getting low, it kicks you in the face.
Yeah. Zombie really just... And the pacing is at a logical pace. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go too fast.
No.
It doesn't go too slow. There's just enough character development for you to get interested in the characters.
But not,
it's not cumbersome.
You don't need to know their whole life. You don't have to get their backstories.
Right. It's not fumbly. It's not cumbersome. No. It gets to the point, and man, by the time you get to the end of this film, you're actually satisfied. You saw something that was well made, well put together. Special effects were great. Soundtrack was great.
Makes you want to cover your face during some of the scenes because you're like, I can't look away.
Yeah.
Nope.
Fulci'S direction was at his peak when he made this film. The cinematography in Zombie, the locations, the wide open shots. I mean,
it was great.
Yeah, Zombies.
It had the best of American filming and Italian filming, and the stereotypical things that were done for those type of films at that time too. It was perfect.
Wasn't it? Was Zombie Panavision? The super wide screen? I could have swore it was.
Double check.
Well, the point being is it's beautifully filmed.
If it was, we'll put a thingy right here.
Yeah. It's a beautifully made film, and on my scale, Zombie gets 5 ghouls out of 5.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, it's not often I do 5 out of 5, especially a film that, I'm going to be honest, Zombie's very divisive. A lot of critics are really hell on this movie, but I don't think it deserves a lot of the negativity that it gets.
No, and the special effects.
Yes. Again,
just the special effects alone from this film. Here's the special effects. Here's all the great acting. Here's the great... There's too many good things. And if you're not a real zombie fan, you'll not really care for the film. But if you love zombies the way that most of us do and the way the horror is in this, beautiful.
I got another shout out for Fabio Frizzi, too. His soundtrack, I mean...
Oh, my God.
About you don't know, unless you have heard Zombie. It's kind of like Day of the Dead. It's a soundtrack that just stands out to a lot of these other films. As a matter of fact, I would go so far as to say a Zombie set the tone for a lot of Italian films through the 80s. I mean, the soundtrack is obviously replicated a lot, even by Argento.
Yeah.
And he ran Goblin. I mean, he was a part of Goblin, and they still borrowed tone from Zombie.
All I know is every time you heard that track come in. Now, I was watching this in the dark.
Oh, man.
And my little inner kid was like, I know that music. The zombies are coming. God damn it.
Yeah.
Where are they coming from?
So, in ending, I definitely recommend Zombie. If you're a horror movie fan, if you're a zombie fan, you really should see the film. It's I don't know if you necessarily need to see the sequels. I mean, I guess if you're like a hardcore zombie fan, I think that there are better films out there in the Italian genre.
Contractually obligated, I can't say anything on that point.
Yeah, but I know, but I loved Zombie 2, Zombie Flesh Eaters, Zombie Island, Island of the Dead, whatever film title you know it under. I just don't see a cut version of it. We'll go for the uncut film because unfortunately, sometimes even with the cut films, there are like chunks of the storyline cut out. And it's like,
those are like the made-for-TV. Like,
I understand, cutting out the gore, but
you kids will never understand what it was like growing up in the 80s and 90s, wanting to see the horror films you wanted to watch, and they were cut.
Oh, the TV version of Halloween 2, anybody?
Or how about...
Oh, Halloween 2?
Halloween 2
which makes
horrible.
No sense whatsoever the way they
see Hellraiser on...
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It doesn't make
sense. Not only
sense.
did I see Hellraiser cut, I saw Hellraiser dubbed in Spanish, and the voice for Pinhead's terrible. Same guy who did Freddy Krueger, too, and it's god-awful. It's horrible. But anyway.
You guys are lucky.
No, we've gotten off track again. That's one of the fun things you're going to love about our videos. Anyway, check Zombie out. I highly recommend it. Check out Vinegar Syndrome. This graphic novel is absolutely worth picking up. A lot of their other movies are worth picking up. I don't much care for a lot of the new horror, so I watch older stuff. So my reviews are going to be, on newer horror. Our next video coming up is going to be talking about what I think is the importance of physical media. And Addison Bynek's Psycho Ape is coming up. Got some other films in the pipeline for you. You can check out Facebook, Dr. Morgus, horror movie reviews if you want to check out some of my written reviews and other junk. But that's pretty much it. In closing, like I said, check out Zombie. Thank you, and have a good day.